bring it to the other committee.
Thank you, Minister. We will now go on to Senator Boyer, and then Senatrice Dupuy, and then Senator Tanner. Senator Boyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Minister Lametti, for appearing in front of us today. My question is about the Indigenous content. On February 3rd, 2020, you held a roundtable discussion with Indigenous practitioners and community leaders. Some of the concerns raised at this roundtable included discrimination in the healthcare system, lack of culturally safe care, and the possibility that Indigenous patients may choose MAID because they do not have access to other healthcare services. Can you speak to how the concerns raised at the Indigenous Roundtable were considered and incorporated into Bill C-7, please?
Thank you very much, Senator Boyer. And indeed, that roundtable, as well as other outreach that we did to members of the Indigenous community, including leadership that did have experience with MAID or were healthcare providers, was important to us in this process. And I will I will recognize from the outset that there is systemic discrimination in the healthcare system that we need to fight and correct as a country in collaboration with the provinces, because healthcare is in provincial jurisdiction, and there is leadership to be demonstrated on all sides by all parties. Some of the questions that were raised during that roundtable were issues that are primarily addressed through better healthcare, through better investment in housing, through better investment in a variety of different social determinants across in the variety of Indigenous communities that exist. But those investments need to be made across Indigenous communities across Canada. With respect to those particular comments, we are trying to balance, and in particular in the non-end-of-life scenario, again, these help to motivate the safeguards that you see in the non-end-of-life scenario, in which we try very hard to make sure that people have an adequate discussion about what the possibilities for life are, as well as the possibilities for MAID. And so if we as a country can invest as we ought to invest in healthcare and in working on social conditions that differing but often very wanting social conditions with respect to housing, for example, or ability to get assistance living with a disability in Indigenous communities across Canada. If we can work on that with our provincial partners, then I think we will be in a position to really fulfill the promise of life and the promise of MAID to the extent that someone chooses that.
I have a supplementary question as well. I asked the Office of the Minister of Health to provide me details regarding the Indigenous Roundtable. I was surprised to hear that although the federal government advocates for a distinctions-based approach, none of the participants were Métis leaders or focused on Métis health at all. Are there other ways that your department has reached out to Métis communities or representatives? And if not, why? And can you speak to how those consultations have been undertaken and why there were no Métis at the roundtable discussion?
We put the roundtables together as best we could. I did speak with David Chartrand on this, and so we have done outreach to Métis leadership and the Métis community, and we can go back and check to see what other contacts were made, Senator, if you wish. We have tried to work on a distinctions-based approach. We have tried to reach out, and we did hear from voices who were working in Métis communities. So again, the kinds of considerations, while not identical, were similar. They focused a lot on social determinants. They focused a lot on giving people a real choice, and not choosing MAID because one felt one had to choose MAID, that there weren't any other options.
Okay, I'd like a copy of that, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Boyer. We'll now go on to Senator